explain the markings on this drill bit real quick. So do you see how there's 1, 2, 3, 4? The 4 is really thick. Do you see how thick that one is?
Yeah.
And then 5. So this is 4 millimeter depth, 6 millimeter depth, 8 millimeter depth. The bottom of the thick line is 10 millimeters deep. The top of the thick line is 12 millimeters deep. And then this is 14 millimeters deep. So as you're drilling, you know how deep you're going. That's really important. Okay, so this one goes right here. Boop. Okay, so then after this one's drilled, sometimes we'll take an x-ray after this one's drilled just because it's so small. But sometimes, if I'm confident in the angle, I'll move up to the next drill bit, which is the 2.2 millimeter twist drill. Now there are 2 sizes for the 2.2 millimeter twist drill based on how long the implant's going to be. And too, sometimes the implant handpiece will run into teeth, so I'll have to switch sizes so that I can still see the angle and get it accurate. These are marked in the exact same patterns. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, but this one also goes up to 16 and 18, right? So this one's longer. So these go like this. The short one gets placed first, the tall one gets placed second. Now, after this drill has been performed in the patient's mouth, more than likely we're going to take an x-ray. These are guide pins. So that guide pin's actually too big for that spot, so that guide pin actually goes here. We should have at least 4, if not 6, of these guide pins for the 2.2 twist drill, 2.2 millimeters, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is a little bit bigger, so it actually goes here. So we have 5 in this kit. So 5 is a great number. 6 is ideal because 6 is what we do. A lot of times we'll do 6 implants on the maxilla for the hybrid cases. So these go back in their respective places. And then this extra one can just go up here in this blue. Now, let's say that we're going to put in a 2.9 millimeter implant, which is the smallest Straumann implant we place. So this is the only drill then. We're done, right? But we have one last step. These are called profile drills. Now, there are 2 different length blue profile drills. This is for a 2.9 millimeter implant. Obviously, if you've got one where you've got really long incisors, you're going to use a longer one. Now, the purpose of the profile drill is to make the crestal 1/3, that bone right where the implant shoulder is going to sit. We don't want the implant to fit too tight. So if the implant squeezes that crestal bone, it causes bone loss. So instead, we widen it. So the implant then gets its tightness from the apex or the tip of the implant instead of the shoulder of the implant. So this is for widening the shoulder. Then let's say we have an implant that's super tight, and even after these are widened, you can't get it to seat. Then you tap it. So this is called a drill tap. So see how it's threaded? So you put this little piece on top of the implant driver, boop, and then you go in at a very slow speed, and this literally cuts little tiny threads onto the inside of the implant osteotomy. The osteotomy is the bone hole that we created with the drill. And then the implant is then threaded into these, which is great. Right? That's if it's really, really dense bone. Okay. So let's say we're going to put in a 3.3 millimeter implant. Then we're going to go up in size one more time. Now we have 4 guide pins for this size as well. Actually 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 2 are different. This is an older modeled guide pin, but it's great because it provides you with a like an idea of how close you are to the adjacent teeth utilizing these barriers. Now they're kind of a pain in the butt, so I don't use these all the time. Just an extra one. And then we also have the 2 length drills. Again, one short, one long. Put the long one here, the short one here. And then here is our profile drill for the 3.3 millimeter implant. And then the tap for the 3.3 millimeter implant. Here's the drills for the 4.1 millimeter implant, 3.5 millimeter drill. Again, same thing. You've got a short and a long, all marked 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, you know, all the way up. Same thing. Short goes here, long goes here. We have 4 guide pins associated with this length as well. Then we have our profile drill, our tap. And then the last is a 4.8 millimeter implant. This same thing, 2 different size drills, 4 guide pins. Here's the profile and the tap. So that's all the way through all the drills. So then let's talk about what goes up here in the top. It's a little mismatched right now. So this is just an extra, so it doesn't necessarily need to be in there. Where is our... There we go. Okay, so let's talk first about these 2 instruments right here. These are implant drivers. Okay, this one is the long one, and it's really, really narrow. This is the short one, it's a little bit wider. So when we tend to use these long ones is for these tiny little 2.9 millimeter implants when you're going between little lower front teeth, the little anteriors, because they're really, really thin, so you have to have a thin driver. It also benefits it to be long because sometimes those are perio-treated teeth and they're a little bit longer. So this is a long implant driver, short implant driver. The long goes there, the short goes there. These are also implant drivers. Notice one is long and thin and one is short and wider, except these attach to this. So if you want to hand place an implant, you don't want to use an instrument, then you can use this. This is the implant prosthetics driver. Now how you assemble one of these is you first take this piece, Straumann label up, find the second piece, Straumann label up, slide them together. Then on the back side, you have this last piece right here. It slides in, gets tightened into place. Now if you look, there's a little pin that says that the arrow is pointing left. You can change the direction of the wrench. So for example, let's use one that's easier to grab. Right now, this is only forcing the screw to the left, right? However, if we wanted to tighten it instead of loosen it, we simply take this key, you pull up on it, see how it pulls up? And then you rotate it the other direction. And now it's tightening. Now, as it tightens, I want you to notice the numbers on the wrench. 0, 15, 35. 15 Newton centimeters. 35 Newton centimeters. So it's measuring, as you tighten it, it's measuring the Newton centimeter force value. So for cover screws or prosthetic screws, we tighten to 15 Newton centimeters. The implant, however, we want 35 Newton centimeters whenever possible. This is really important when we're doing our hybrid cases, those multi-unit implant cases. Okay, cool. So that's this wrench. Now, we have a million lock sims in here. So we need basically 0 of those.
Yeah.
There's no need for all of those. You could have 1 or 2 lying around. There's an implant, there's a lock sim on every single implant, so I don't know why those are in there. This goes here. Now you want to disassemble the wrench every single time a kit goes through. This goes here. And this goes right here. And this piece goes right here. This is a wrench. So this wrench was traditionally used before this lock sim changed. But the purpose of this wrench is to be able to hold pieces in place. However, this was with the traditional transfer that we no longer use. So this has become relatively useless with the exception of this little pin here. This little pin gets placed inside this so that as you're tightening it with the wrench, you can hold it in a specific position. So this is really the only thing we use this wrench for anymore. But this wrench goes right here. Okay. No, Colleen, we put it in.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so short goes here, long goes here. Almost done. So this is a really, really interesting piece of equipment. And where I use it most often is when I need to extend the length of my drill, for example, on a profile drill. Now, this is just one extra little in-between piece that allows you to change the length of pretty much anything that fits into this kit, with the exception of these wrench type units. Okay, so let's put this back where this goes. So this is a drill extender. Now the last three pieces in this kit are short, medium, and long prosthetic screwdrivers. Now it's really helpful to have all three lengths. You use the medium the most, but every now and then you'll need a short because the patient can't open wide enough, or a long because the tooth length makes it so that this one won't reach, or the cylinder length, for example, if we're doing a hybrid case. So that's each one of these. And these, all just like these two, mount to this handpiece once assembled. Got it? Cool. And that is a complete Straumann kit right there.